Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may wonder why we do this, but that is a question you will answer at the end of the Great Debaters Contest, National Edition. Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. The who's who of debate are here ready to marvel us. I'm talking about Kabarak High School and BG Ngandu girls. And their motion is, will a cashless economy lead to increased savings? We'll let them wow us now. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, my grandmother used to tell me about how things would be exchanged in form of barter trade. We had cows to be exchanged for goats. And now look at us, we're using cash. But in the near future, I'd like to tell you that we're moving towards a system where we'll only have a cashless economy. My name is Ivy Tirok from Moy High School, Kabarak, and I'm here to firmly propose the point that a cashless economy will lead to increased savings. First and foremost, a cashless economy is an environment where money is spent without physically being carried around. This can be through electronic fund transfers, payment cards, and wireless transfers. You see here, this is a payment card. And here, we just have the normal cards that we use each and every day. On the other hand, savings is economy of or reduction in money, time, or another resource. So my first point is, okay, most of us here are teenagers, and I think you're all familiar with the hit series nowadays called Narcos. It features a man called Pablo Escobar. Now, this man, he's an infamous drug lord who used to live in Colombia many years back. He began the Medellin cartel, which unfortunately would supply cocaine around. I'm not saying that I'm supporting this, but let's give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. This was a smart man. But unfortunately, he was always on the run. Thus, he'd save his money in stacks in warehouses. He spent $2,500 each month just purchasing rubber bands. I want that to sink into you. That's equivalent to 300,000 shillings purchasing rubber bands so that he can stack up this money. Also, some of this money was eaten up by rats. Now you can imagine how much of money went to waste if he could have just taken it to a bank, taken it somewhere that it could actually earn interest. Secondly, I'm sure all of us are familiar with this. When we go to the supermarket and we want to buy something and we have change for 1 shilling, at some time back, they used to give us sweets. How long will we continue eating these sweets until we get cavities? No. Why don't we just embrace the system of electronic modes of payment? If we had credit cards, debit cards, in order to purchase our items, even the littlest shillings would be saved. And this would increase our savings instead of wasting it in things that are not necessary. In 2011, the Central Bank of Kenya fortunately passed a law which said that supermarkets are no longer allowed to do this. And I am sure all of you remember at some point in 2012 when we had to gather up coins from our homes. I think this is a step forward, but let's go even further. Invest in an electronic system which will guarantee even increased savings. Lastly, I would like to tell you about the bills that we pay each and every day. For example, DSTV, electricity bills, and so on and so forth. M-Pesa has made this easier for us. By just at the comfort of a home, we can do all this in the click of a button. This has saved so much time and even fuel, such that we don't waste all this, but instead we can invest this into something that will be a betterment for our future. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
You save better, but we save more. Old is gold. Gold is bold. Gold is extraordinary, but only the wise see the extra out of the ordinary. Cynthia Mbio, Bishop Gatimu, Ngandu, opposing the motion that states cashless economy would lead to increased savings. Cashless economy is a situation in which the flow of cash in the economy is non-existent and all transactions have to be through electronic channels. Saving is putting money aside for future use. Minzao, an associate professor in Rotman School of Management, says that it leads to more discretionary purchases because it's easier to ignore impact on personal budget, hence lower savings. For example, let's say I'm going with my family. We are going for the Christmas celebrations at home. I have a Visa card. We stopped by somewhere. I had not planned to use the money that I had, but maybe some baby is crying there. The baby is asking, "Mom, please get me something to drink. I'm really hungry." And I had not planned for that. The money I had, I wanted to save it for January so that I can pay school fees. But then now, because the baby is crying, of course I cannot ignore a simple, innocent baby. I just go there, remove my card, buy the baby a drink, and we move on in the journey. You see, I'm not saving anything. Villagers in Japan were asked by tourists in a rich village, "Is there any great man that has been born here?" They were like, "No, only babies have been born here." Well, Japan has cashless economy. It's so successful. While you may point out to such economies as the Japanese or US, we must be very ready to accept the fact that they are economies that have functional institutional basis and cannot be said about Nigeria and Kenya without much conviction. You see, Nigeria tried the cashless economy system and they failed really badly. But let's forgive Nigeria. Life is hard, but God is unfair. You see, it doesn't come with an instructions manual, so everybody kind of makes mistakes. When you use M-Shwari, your savings earn an interest of about 2% per annum. And conventional banks, such as the Standard Chartered Bank, you earn an interest of 4% per annum, enabling the customer to save more. We agree, cashless economy, you save better, but we save more. Most of the old people in the rural areas, most of them don't know how to use this plastic money. Let's say, like now, for example, at this time, Kenya decides that it's going to be forceful that you have to use the cashless economy. Most of those old ladies in the village, they're used to tying their money and putting them in their breast pockets. But then now you see this plastic money, they're not used to it. Let's have that heart of helping everybody, incorporate everybody in this thing. Cashless economy can work in cities such as Nairobi. Because here, people are a bit modernized. But you see, this is Kenya. We are still far behind. We'll try, though. We're not saying we won't try. Cashless economy is very nice. But you're looking at saving better. And that is what the motion here is about today. Increased savings. Thank you.
Time for counter-arguments now. Proposition, you have 3 minutes.
You said old is gold, but I tell you, change is inevitable. My name is Denzel Maina from the great Moi High School, Kabarak, here to give you the facts as they stand. Be my guests. First, I do not subscribe to your school of thought that the baby cried, you used a Visa card, and so you're not saving. So if the baby cried and you had cash, you wouldn't buy. A cashless economy increases savings on a global scale because it reduces corruption. Let me be clear. It may not stamp out corruption 100%, but it reduces, increasing the savings. Denying that Kenyans have suffered from the effects of corruption in this world, in this Kenya, it's equal to ignorance. We've lost past 400 million pounds, according to the Guardian newspaper, in corruption, in corrupt schemes. I believe that money can be used in better functions, like clearing our foreign debt, like improving our infrastructure and improving the basic social system and amenities around here in Kenya. She's my friend. So she said, Nigeria have failed in trying to move the economy into a cashless economy. Well, let me tell you, the motion is on a global scale. So Nigeria failed, yes, but Sweden have succeeded. And you said God is unfair. Let me correct you. God gives you what you always deserve. When corrupt schemes happen in Kenya, the money is taken to offshore accounts. In a cashless economy, the money, any cash transactions that happen, leave a paper trail. That paper trail can be used in tracking you down, in tracking all the money that you have, and you'll be accountable to the taxpayers on money laundering charges. You cannot deny, according to the statistics by the US Treasury Bureau, they used, in the last fiscal year, they have used $188.7 million in printing money. Now, in a cashless economy, what the banks do, they just release, let me call it theoretical cash. They do not print money. Mind you, this 188.7 million is only for producing the cash. You've not yet factored in distribution of that cash, and there are more there are many countries which use American dollars as their currency. And no one's allowed to print the American dollar except the US Treasury Bureau. In a cashless economy, all this will be prevented. All this will be, all the money that is being used around here will be saved and can be used into better use. Thank you.
Opposition, time for your counter-argument. You have 3 minutes as well.
Change is inevitable. I agree. But moderation is the key to moral perfection. Grace Washanga, Bishop Gatimu Ngandu, opposing this motion that cashless economy will lead to increased savings. Well, first, I want to point out the major points in our motion about saving. Well, you said much. You said about your grandmother telling you about how they used to use the barter system, talk about someone in a movie tying money with the rubber bands. I don't know whether you get it. Okay, our stand is that having a cashless economy is not wrong. Well, according to a research done by Johan Thiem, he said that a cashless economy does not necessarily mean doing away with all paper money. It means that most transactions are done using electric systems. Well, we are not saying that you tie your money with rubber bands and spend money to tie your money with rubber bands. No, save your money with the bank, go withdraw it and use it. I think now we're on the same page. You said change is inevitable. Well, yes, but as we are changing, we do consider the pros and cons of changing. Well, the first speaker said that we are headed to a place where we're going to be using cashless economy. I know we do have Vision 2030, but I believe the masterminds that are behind that, as they are planning, they are going to consider the pros and cons of this economy. See, we cannot compare Sweden to Kenya. We cannot compare Sweden to Nigeria. Let's just agree our economies are not at the same state. Well, cashless economy will require a lot of capital to install the biometric system, the swiping machines, and what have you. So let's see, saving is not only for the citizens, but also the government. But if the government is not saving, neither are we. Let's start here. According to Ashley Smith of Computerized Living Africa, she said one of the lowest prices for the biometric system is $10,000. Yeah, just one of them, to put one of them in one supermarket. So let's think, if the government was to install this in implementing a cashless economy to the whole of Kenya, and you told us printing money takes $187 million. Yeah, for all the money. Well, it's $10,000 for just one biometric system. It's a little more expensive, don't you think? Okay, it is easier to save, but it's also easier to spend with a cashless economy system. Well, let me explain to you about that little kid. I don't think you get it. If I'm having my little boy over here and I'm going shopping, let's have a scenario. We have two people going shopping. Well, one of them is in a country where there is no cashless economy. So I've budgeted for 5,000 shillings and I carry only 5,000. Well, you're in your country having a cashless economy and you've budgeted for 5,000. So we both walk into a supermarket in our different countries. Well, I find something that I want to buy and it's outside my budget, but no, I have 5,000 shillings only. This baby cries and wants me to buy them something, but I can't. My budget is tight, 5,000 shillings. So in the end, we're talking about saving this money, not about how we spend it, whether you give a kid a sweet or not, you'll talk to them after that, but about the saving, if I don't use extra money from a debit card I don't have, I'll save more. Thank you.
Wow, I'm broke, don't know how to get better. I just get money, send money to M-Pesa. Far from the bank, what would daddy do? Please touch M-Pesa, touch it for my school fees.
Tuma pesa na
M-Pesa.
Pokea pesa na
M-Pesa.
Lipa bill na
M-Pesa.
Lipa karo na M-Pesa.
Take part in the M Challenge by sending your short song, rap, or poem about Safaricom M-Pesa on WhatsApp, and you could win 1,000 shillings in Safaricom airtime.
Opposition have been asked to expound more on the link between corruption and cashless systems, and the opposition have been asked, aren't there already systems in place to curb how mumuch you spend when you're on a cashless system for credit cards or debit cards? We'll let them respond now. Proposal number 3, you have 3 minutes.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your questions. Kuuliza sio ujinga. Kuuliza sio ujinga. This is a Swahili proverb which means asking is not foolish. So I'd like to thank you again. Albert Einstein said, the important part is that you asked the question. Curiosity has a reason for existence. My name is John Machage, and I'm here to answer your questions and say the truth. You asked how a cashless economy will reduce corruption. Let's take, for example, the current situation with Anne Waiguru. In a cashless economy, all the money will be tracked where it is going. There will be records of things. You cannot pass money under the table without us knowing it. There will be proper management of the money, in that we know where it is going, where it is coming from, how it is being used. There is a record. Look at the Goldenberg scandals. There was no record. Now look where we are. We are in debt. We are so deep in debt, I would have to dig myself out of it and my grandkids out of it. To the opposing side, I would like to give some few points. It is not clear where you got your, let's say, your statistics from. I've not heard any statistics. And do not blame your lack of morality for self-control. I can control myself, so I do not need to overspend. A cashless economy also reduces crime. Somebody here talked about how banks would, let's say, reduce robbery. In a cashless economy, the money which is being stolen would not be there. So hence, it will not be stolen.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Sheila McKenna, Bishop Gatimu Ngandu, opposing the motion that states that a cashless economy will lead to increased savings. Now, to answer your question, there are 2 types of savings account. There's a current account and a fixed deposit account. And mainly, when you're using a debit card, you're using a current account, meaning that a current account, there's no limit to however much you want to withdraw. But for a fixed deposit, there is a limit, which leads me to tell you the statistics you're asking for. A Dun & Brown study revealed that consumers spend from 12 to 18% more on shopping when using electronic means as compared to hard cash. And that notwithstanding, a report filed by the CNN website states that the average transaction rate when using credit cards, debit cards, and biometric systems raised from $4.50 to $7, which leaves you wondering, are we really saving? Now, I'm sure a question on our minds is, how safe, at the end of the day, how safe is my money? You know, with the Imperial Bank saga, how safe is my money if I use electronic means? With reference to the Krebs and Security website, cyber criminals stole more than 25 million from businesses in the year 2010 in America. While I had a look at the FBI webpage, where they post their crime statistics, showing that for the same period, turns out that bank robberies, actual bank robberies where I go to a bank and rob it, they netted slightly more than 9.4 million. Let's give it 9.5 million. Meaning that your money is actually safer when it's not online. Online money, or rather electronic means, leaves your money vulnerable to cyber theft, to hacking, to fraud. The numbers speak volumes. Saving is a discipline. If you want to save and you are determined to save, you will save. And you do not need a machine or a biometric system or some new fancy gadget to help you save. Saving is a discipline. And I agree, you save better, but at the end of the day, we save more, and that's what matters. Sheila McKenna, Bishop Gatimu, Ngandu.
Proposers, you have 1 minute.
A boy from Kapsabet asked, aren't muggers more than hackers? The cashless system is more credible. I am here today to tell the truth. I am going to give you some wise words. They were said by a wise man, if not the most wise of men in the world. This is a quote from the Buddha. He said this: there are 3 things in this world which cannot be hidden for long: the sun, the moon, and the truth. We are saying the truth. Cashless is the way to go. It is the truth. It is the future. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 1 minute as well for your final statements.
You know, it's quite funny how people come and tell you, this is the truth. I'm sorry, but a certain pastor who used to lie to people used to tell them this is the truth, and they bought it, and now he was exposed in the media. So, how about to tell you the truth with statistics? So there's this old lady, Mama Kimbo. Well, she's from a very remote area in Kenya, and she didn't go to school, and our age is catching up. She didn't use a banking system before. She just used to close up her hands in her hat and sleep there. Well, she tried to adopt the conventional banking system, and now she could go to the bank, open a savings account, and just deposit her money there. Well, she likes to tie up her coins and her notes in a handkerchief and just hide it somewhere within her, and it's working out pretty good for her. So, well, in Kenya, 38.5% of Kenyan adults are illiterate. So, well, these 38.5% worked hard to try and adopt to the banking system, saving in the bank, and they want to have like a little money with them. And now you're telling this old woman to start tying her money in a credit card. Cashless economy is good, we agree. But when it comes to saving, it is not necessarily the best. Thank you.
T-Rock, that should be your name, is it? You're very confident. I love the fact this is your first time and the way you come across as a very good speaker and a good start. You started off the team very well. I applaud your submissions and your confidence. Denzel, you share my name, Denzel Minor. So there was a lot of expectations. Yeah, thumbs up. Good cross-examination when you started. It was very nice. I think you had an inspiration at the corner. There was something that you kept looking at. I don't know if it's the light so that it can light it to you or something. But I felt, minors are normally a bit organized. There was a lot of papers that you had on the stage. They almost fell down. But how did you leave the stage? After giving us very good submissions and all, you left. In fact, when the bell went, it was like, whew, I'm done, is it? And then you left almost falling down to the stage. So that in itself is penalized because it talks a lot about your confidence and whether you believed what you told us. So kindly check next time, the way you come, leave the same way, very much convinced, even better. John, just quite a lot needs to be improved. However, I appreciate that you made it all the way. I felt like some of your comments were a bit needed referencing, and you made a lot of assumptions. When you're saying that we are in debt, what is our status? Don't just say our grandchildren, you have to dig them out, but what is our status? Let us know. When you're talking about Anoi Guru, just refer to her in the correct references. She's the former CS on what ministry? Tell us all these things.
Bishop Gatimu Ambio, good debater. And you always have powerful introductions. I remember in Nyeri, you're the one who told us even black cows produce white milk, and we identified with it. And today what I carry home is we should look at the extra in the ordinary. Let's not just look at the extraordinary or just the ordinary. Beautiful presentation. You have a good attention grabbers. Commendable job. Grace, you're a talent to be tapped. Listening to you is always very productive. You're a keen listener, and I love the issue of cost that you introduced to the motion. And you talked about moderation, and I think I agree with you that we should not wipe out one. Instead, we should look for a common ground and balance the two. Good. You're a good orator. You've mastered the motion, and the good thing about you is there is no point that you can't refute. You listen very keenly, and you refute almost everything that your opponents say. Finally, I love your metaphorical ending. In Nyeri, what I remember was the Linda example. Today, what I remember is the Mama Kimbo example, and I think the metaphorical way of ending has almost become like your style, which is commendable. Very good debater, a talent to be tapped. McKenna, the issue of crime, I think it was well addressed. Your opponents avoided it, you dealt with it, and I gave you an extra point for doing what your opponents did not do. And you also talked about the vulnerability of the transactions or carrying out transactions online, and I think that was commendable. You save better, we save more. Beautiful statement to summarize the ideas presented by your team. I think to the two teams you are good. Bishop Gatimu, I saw teamwork. From Moi High School, Kabarak, of course, I appreciate your new faces. The other students did not show up. But I commend Ivy. The other two, you can always up your game. It's just about learning, and I believe you've gotten an experience. Next time, you'll come up better. This was a good debate.
I'd like you to join me in giving Bishop Gatimu girls a round of applause because they scored 75.4%. Please give them a hand. Their opponents, Moi High School Kabarak, also did an outstanding job. They scored 68%. Please give them a hand as well. BG Ngandu win this debate, but it's a game of numbers, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Very well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Safaricom M-Pesa, and we'd urge members of the audience and also those individuals back home, kindly follow us on our platforms, that is Twitter, Instagram, at Great Debaters EA. I am Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. We'll see you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.